Hello and welcome, I'm Sanjay Pinto. A tweet has been doing the rounds. Politicians, it says, are the best gymnasts because flip-flops and somersaults come naturally to them. And when it's as emotive an issue as the Tamil cause and the hanging of 3 convicts in the Rajiv Gandhi assassination case, playing to the gallery is only to be expected. The DMK government in 2000 didn't favor mercy for the 3 convicts. In 2011, it wants the AIADMK government to do what it didn't do. The AIADMK government first put the ball in the president's court. In 24 hours, it passed a resolution urging the centre to commute the death sentences. The big question tonight is Tamil Nadu witnessing politics over mercy. Joining us live in our studio is renowned Tamil writer and poet Meena Kandasamy and senior journalist Sudangan. But that discussion comes up in about 5 minutes after the top stories and headlines with Evelyn Matthew. Evelyn?
Thanks very much indeed. Let's take you through the headlines we're tracking at this hour. The Tamil Nadu Assembly passes a unanimous resolution to commute death penalty to life, but the Union Law Minister says it's not binding on the centre. Even as the Madras High Court stays the execution by 8 weeks, the big question, will it be life and not death for them?
That you have kept a person in a state of mental torture for 11 years, that punishment is unconstitutional. Therefore, you should make some reward. You should make compensation. Compensation is to take away the death penalty.
Students, activists and members of different political groups celebrate the turn in case of the 3 convicts in the Rajiv Gandhi assassination case. MLAs work for a record 8.5 hours at the State Assembly. Death penalty issue takes a major chunk. Another DMK practice reverse. The Chief Minister introduces a new bill for the direct election of mayors in all city corporations. Amma's poll promise of a nominal telly package is here. 90 channels at 70 rupees per month from the 2nd of September will be made available on the government cable. The 1-month fasting for Muslims is officially over. Tomorrow is Eid ul-Fitr. For a second week in a row, Villupuram reports another case of a minor being sexually assaulted. The accused is still on the run. And Vidya Balan makes Dirty look good as Silk Smitha, a first look at the biopic on the seductress. A quick look at what else is making headlines across the nation and the world as well. Policy paralysis and global slowdown cause India's growth to slow to 7.7% in the first quarter. Ratan Tata says any future investments in West Bengal will depend on what he calls the hostility factor in the state towards his company. The Gujarat Lokayukta Rao disrupts the parliament. The BJP demands the Gujarat governor be recalled for bypassing the elected state government. Days after the historic impeachment proceedings in parliament, a House panel submits its report on the Judicial Accountability Bill. The cabinet fails to clear the new sports bill. The sports minister has now been asked to come up with a new one. As he's awarded an honorary PhD, MS Dhoni says he's hopeful of India turning it around in the one-day series. And Kolkata is in a tizzy, awaiting Messi's arrival, especially the 4 boys who will get to shake hands with him. Our top story tonight, the Madras High Court today stayed for at least 8 weeks the execution of 3 men convicted for the murder of former Prime Minister Rajiv Gandhi. In an unprecedented move, the Tamil Nadu Assembly also passed an unanimous resolution saying their mercy pleas should be considered.
Celebrations on the streets and hope for the 3 convicts in the Rajiv Gandhi assassination case after the Madras High Court stayed their execution scheduled for the 9th of September. The centre will now reply to the court in 8 weeks. The 3 convicts, Murugan, Santhan and Perarivalan, have been behind bars for 2 decades and the President rejected their clemency plea after 11 years. Pointing to the delay which he described as illegal, their lawyer Ram Jethmalani told the court it would take just 30 seconds to take a convict from the cell and pronounce him dead. But the delay has killed them every day for 11 years.
Main contention is that you have kept a person in a state of mental torture for 11 years.
In the Tamil Nadu Assembly, there was a surprise U-turn by Chief Minister Jayalalitha. She moved a resolution urging the President to commute the death sentence of all 3 convicts. Only on Monday, she had literally washed her hands off. But this could be tokenism, pandering to political compulsions. The same assembly during the DMK regime in 2000 had recommended death for these convicts. The centre says though the assembly resolution is not binding on it or the president, they will consider it.
जो राष्ट्रपति महोदय ने निर्णय लिया है उसके आगे मैं कुछ नहीं कह सकता हूं। हर एक का अधिकार होता है कोर्ट जाने का, वो गए हैं अगर कोर्ट तो कोर्ट उनको बताएगा, लेकिन मैं तो सिर्फ राष्ट्रपति महोदय के निर्णय तक ही अपने आप को सीमित रख सकता हूं।
सर, एनडीए के समय भी एक बात उठी थी कि क्या मर्सी पिटीशन, ये मौत की सजा जो है इसको एबॉलिश करके नया कानून लाएं। कानून मंत्री के तौर पे आप क्या सोचते हैं कि कई बार हर बार जब कैपिटल पनिशमेंट की बात,
कानून मंत्री अपनी राय हर चीज पर नहीं देते हैं। कानून मंत्री को जब सरकार अपनी कोई राय बनाना चाहती है तो सरकार को राय कानून मंत्री देते हैं। पूरे मीडिया के सामने हर बात पे अपनी राय नहीं देते हैं कानून मंत्री, नहीं देनी भी नहीं चाहिए। जब कानून मंत्री नहीं हो तो आप जिस चीज पे चाहोगे तो राय दें।
There are also questions. How can the court question the powers of the president? Experts say it is possible, but it sets a bad precedent.
It is not only the men who are condemned to death, others also can ask for reduced sentences or pardons.
Perhaps for the first time, the president's swiftness in disposing clemency petitions has come under question. The final outcome could have a bearing on others on death row. With camera person Edwin in Chennai, Sam Daniel, Find Your TV.
Well, the mother of one of the convicts, Perari Valan, has thanked Ms. Jayalalitha, the Chief Minister, for the resolution today and hopes that capital punishment does not figure in the state anymore.
சட்டமன்றத்தில் தீர்மானம் நிறைவேற்றி என் மகனின் தண்டனை குறைப்புக்கு வழி செய்த முதல்வர் அம்மாக்கு முதற்கண் என் நன்றி. இவனுடைய தண்டனை குறைப்புக்கு குரல் கொடுத்து ஆதரவு தெரிவித்த அனைத்து உள்ளங்களுக்கு முதல் நன்றி. முற்றா மரண தண்டனை ஒழிக்கப்படணும். ஏன்னா அந்த மரண தண்டனைன்னா என்ன வேதனை அனுபவிப்பாங்கன்றது நான் உணர்ந்தவோ. அதனால உலகிலே மரண தண்டனை ஒழியணும்னு நினைக்கிறேன். அதுவும் இப்போ தமிழ்நாட்டில் முக்கியமாக மரண தண்டனை ஒழிக்கணும்.
But clearly the issue has turned into a politically explosive one inside the Madras High Court today. There was a thunderous applause when the decision was announced that the hanging was stayed until the case is studied. Several political leaders and pro-Tamil activists have said that the men have now served for more than 20 years in prison and do not deserve the death sentence. In fact, the MDMK's chief, Vaiko, has welcomed it as historic and one that has brought such a credit for the Chief Minister, Jayalalitha. He added that no state assembly in the country has passed a resolution to commute the death sentence to life. The Congress, meanwhile, calls it a threat to the future leaders at a national level and condemns the resolution.
தலைவர்கள் படுகொலை செய்பவர்களை விடுவிக்க வேண்டும் என்ற கோரிக்கையின் மீது தமிழக அரசு ஏற்றிருக்கும் இந்த தீர்மானம் என்பது நாளை இது ஒரு பெரிய நாட்டின் அச்சுறுத்தல், நாட்டின் தலைவர்களுக்கெல்லாம் ஒரு அச்சுறுத்தலாகத்தான் அமைந்திருக்கும். ஆகையால் இவைகளை நீதிமன்றங்கள் ஆதாரங்களின் வாயிலாக எவ்வாறு தீர்ப்பெடுக்கிறதோ அதை நீதிமன்றங்களுக்கும் சட்டத்திற்கும் நாம் விட்டுவிட வேண்டும். அதுதான் சரியான முடிவு. ஆகையால் காங்கிரஸ் கட்சியின் தரப்பில் இந்த தீர்மானத்தை நாங்கள் எதிர்க்கிறோம். அது மட்டுமல்ல, இத்தகைய அச்சுறுத்தலுக்கு நாடு தள்ளப்படக்கூடாது என்பதை அனைவரும் உணர வேண்டும் என்பது எங்கள் கருத்து.
Well, it's now over to Sanjay Pinto for the big question on this headline story of today.
Thank you, Evelyn. Joining us in our studio, as we said earlier, is Mr. Sudhangan, senior journalist, and Meena Kandasamy, who is a well-renowned writer and poet.
Good evening, Sanjay.
Mr. Sudhangan, to you first. First, the Tamil Nadu government throws up its hands, saying it can't do anything. And then in 24 hours, it passes a resolution. Is this playing to the gallery?
No. First of all, we journalists, we are capable of interpreting things into our own wishes.
You're a journalist too. What's your interpretation?
My interpretation, yesterday, Chief Minister of Tamil Nadu was categorically very clear on her legal position. See, many political parties have told if Chief Minister wishes, the mercy petition, the hanging can be stopped. That is, she made it very clear to the statement made by the various political parties outside the assembly. Whether it is directed to her or not, there are various statements given by the various political parties. She made her legal stand very clear yesterday. Even at that time also, she never made any statement about whether this petition should be withdrawn or anything. She never made any comment. Today, she has understood the real sentiments of Tamil Nadu people, the voices of the political leaders, and in this today's resolution by the Chief Minister, proposed by the Chief Minister, I could see a national outlook in Tamil Nadu Chief Minister. What a Prime Minister of this country should have, she has now. Not only the 3 lives, it is a question of our external threat is in the present scenario of a neighboring state. You have to look at a larger perspective. So she has a vision, a nation vision, by passing this resolution. That's what
the
I feel.
encomiums apart, do you believe she's...
It's not an encomium, it's a fact.
Do you believe they're playing to, they're catering to a fringe constituency in a sense?
No, I don't see that. But see, we have, what happened in 2009, lakhs of innocent people were killed. You should see it in a different angle.
All right, I'll come back to 2009 and the elections. Meena Kandasamy, to bring you in here. What we saw at the High Court, the scenes at the High Court there.
Yes.
People, soon after the announcement, in fact, the order came out that it was, issue notice, they were waiting for those words. I mean, what they would have dreaded to hear was not maintainable. Instead, this was music to the ears when the judges pronounced, admitted, issue notice, returnable in 8 weeks. That's exactly what Ram Jethmalani and Vaiko and Colin Gonsalves and others wanted to hear. There was a round of applause inside. Crackers were burst outside. Sweets were distributed. There was almost hysteria whipped up there. The court was bursting at its seams. Is this posturing over what is essentially a legal question, over what is essentially a humanitarian cause?
Yes, it is a humanitarian cause, but often the Tamil people over a whole long period of time have lost trust in the judiciary. If you look at what happened in Keelvenmani, in 1968, 44 Dalits were killed, and 20 of them were women and 20 of them were small children, infants in arms. But not a single convict spent, even a year in jail. There was no death penalty given. So nobody here in Tamil Nadu actually has trust in the judicial system. It's failed us on so many levels.
That's a strong word. You're saying nobody in Tamil Nadu?
Well, I think the majority of people, you've not done justice to a lot of Tamil people, at least for the Tamil cause, or at least for Dalit, or what happened, what about the Melevalavu massacre? Was justice done? So, when there's very low expectation, we're not sure it's going to happen.
But many believe that the judiciary is a last ray of hope. We have judicial activism. That's the only. Look at even the 2G scam, for instance. How the court is monitoring. The Supreme Court is monitoring, on a regular basis, the investigation into the case. So the court is actually doing standing in for what other estates.
That's one way of looking at things. But you also see the Supreme Court has consistently been, let's say, somewhat an anti-reservation posturing, if I may say that. Or in Afzal Guru's case, there's been a huge protest, right from writer Arundhati Roy stepping in and saying that you cannot hang a man to satisfy the collective conscience of society.
All right, let me, Meena, again, there are hardliners. I mean, there are, yes, the mature voices like yours. There are also hardliners in the group that actually has been championing this cause, the crusaders against capital punishment. Some of them almost seem to believe in the dictum of George Bush, that if you're not with us, you're against us. That if you're not against capital punishment, then you are anti-Tamil. Is this a fair stance to adopt?
No, I don't think it's a fair stance to adopt. But again, the big question is, we're talking about capital punishment. We're talking about death as a deterrent. But in today's, if you are going to look at today's international politics, you really can't use death as a deterrent. You have this whole legacy of suicide bombers everywhere. Do you think you can scare people with death when they're willing to die? Can you even use this argument at all? So in some cases, and particularly in this Tamil case, it's something that's hugely emotional, because if you are going to give the death penalty to 3 people, somebody who bought, let's say, the batteries, and 2 others like that, then what is the punishment you would have for somebody who actually did the murder?
Fair enough. To take off from Meena's point, yes, strong observations from Meena, but we respect all views on the show. Mr. Sudhangan, taking off from her point again, a man who buys 9-volt batteries faces the gallows. A small boy, hardly into his teens, who climbs a tree to pluck fruits, gets a bullet in the head. A crusader who wants to stage a fast against corruption finds himself in jail in the company of those who are accused of the biggest scams in the country.
That is the biggest irony.
This is what has led to people, this is what has made people cynical in our country.
Yes, that is what, see, the irony in the whole thing, as you rightly put it, this is what we see here. See, one thing, let us come to the brass tacks of these three people. You have to look this into a larger perspective. We are talking, of course, I am against capital punishment. I make it very clear.
You don't believe it's being politicized?
See, there are some people, it is Congress who politicized.
I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why. The Lankan cause itself is being politicized. I'll tell you why. In 2000, you spoke about 2009. Before the elections, when LTTE chief Prabhakaran was killed, you had even in the run-up to that, when the capture, was when the Sri Lankan army was going almost berserk, many would say, killing innocent civilians there. What happened? You had the AIDMK jumping onto the Elam bandwagon, something it had not done earlier, at least so stridently. You had the DMK chief and the then chief minister saying, Prabhakaran is my good friend. But in the elections in the end, the most vociferous, the biggest voice for the Elam cause in Tamil Nadu, at least in the political spectrum, Vaiko, lost the election.
See,
so at the end of the day, does it really matter? I mean, or is this just being whipped up? Is it an artificial whipping up of hysteria?
See, of course, every party for their own thing, they take sides on this Elam issue. Elam issues right from 91, immediately after the assassination, it is being politicized. It is being much politicized by the Congress than the other parties. Of course, Vaiko, you said always he was a crusader for the cross. 2009, Vaiko's defeat, I don't think it's against the sentiments of Tamil Elam. There are various other reasons. You know the various other reasons, how the 2009 elections were held, how Vaiko was lost. I don't mix up with the Elam cause and Vaiko's defeat.
All right. Do you believe that's the case?
Well, I don't think electoral politics is actually related to, you know, a lot of people say the Tamil people spoke late, because the way in which the DMK and the Congress were totally wiped out in the elections, and even a very strong LTT supporter like the VCK, just because they happened to be in the DMK front, they just drew a blank. It's totally because the people were upset with the earlier government and they were speaking about it later. Because the one thing I think, Sanjay, is that there was very little media information on what's happening in Elam. Nobody actually went there. The stories came out much later.
Because only embedded journalism was possible there at that time.
Yes, at that time. So that's and I don't think it's hysteria at all, because I have been to the place where they're fasting, and because of this one issue, all Tamil grievances are being voiced now. They're talking about the fishermen deaths.
Self-immolation and all that, this is not something that should be encouraged, really.
It should not be encouraged. It should not at all be encouraged. But how do you speak to justice? How do you, when there's no democratic way in which you can express yourself? I think people are thrown into the desperate situation where they think, okay, let's do something. And it's, I think, out of helplessness. It's not because she wants a name for herself.
All right, let's also try and play for you Ms. Jayalalitha's resolution against the death penalty, something that she placed before the assembly today. Just listen in.
தமிழக மக்களின் உணர்வுகளுக்கும் தமிழ்நாட்டில் உள்ள அரசியல் கட்சிகளின் கருத்துகளுக்கும் மதிப்பளிக்கும் வகையில் திருவாளர்கள் சுதேந்திர ராஜா என்கிற சாந்தன், ஸ்ரீஹரன் என்கிற முருகன் மற்றும் பேரறிவாளன் என்கிற அறிவு ஆகியோரின் கருணை மனுக்களை மறுபரிசீலனை செய்து அவர்களின் மரண தண்டனையை ஆயுள் தண்டனையாக குறைக்க நடவடிக்கை எடுக்க வேண்டுமென மேதகு இந்திய குடியரசுத் தலைவரை தமிழ்நாடு சட்டமன்ற பேரவை வலியுறுத்தி கேட்டுக்கொள்கிறது.
All right, Meena, you heard thunderous applause even in the assembly, as just what happened in the High Court there. But we are focusing only on the plight, on the emotions, on the uncertainty of the convicts and their families. Why is that we're not really sparing a thought for the emotional trauma, that the sense of closure that the victims, the 17 others who died along with Rajiv Gandhi, 9 policemen who were just doing their duty, innocent bystanders, why is that we are not sparing a thought for them?
No, I'm very sure that none of them are going to come out. I mean, I'm not going to say none, but I'm very sure that people are not going to be satisfied with the hanging. Are they going to be really happy that
we definitely are not a bloodthirsty society. Yeah, we are not. We should not be.
I mean, if anybody is going to be happy, then it's painful, because you're legitimizing the state to become a murderer in order to say that murder is bad. So I think there are big issues in this. How can you legitimize killing? Just is killing by the state okay?
Why is that then? This whole debate of capital punishment comes up only when there is
Yes,
a prospect
I was asked this question.
It happened in 2004 when Dhananjay Chatterjee was
Yes.
hanged, and you had Colin Gonsalves there in the forefront of that
Yes,
legal battle.
yes.
Why not round the year? Why not every day?
Yeah, I had this question from writer Balakumaran because I was calling all writers and asking for the signatures to a petition campaign, and then he says, oh, now that Perarivalan is going to be hanged, you are all bursting.
Knee jerk, like Anna Hazare, I think we talk about corruption when Anna Hazare sits on a fast.
Yes, yeah, so this was his question, and I was like, well, when Otto Shankar was hanged, I was possibly in school, so there was no way I was going to react about it. But this issue is like, it's been, you know, like, the huge thing is any one of us could have been Perarivalan, and I think that makes a lot of Tamil people really look at the whole issue in new light, because any one of us could have been Danu even, I could say that, because of what happened to Sri Lankans. So I'm not legitimizing anything that happened, but it's like we are an empathetic society, we are sympathetic, so we can, you know, look at their perspective as well, and what's happened to him, all this whole incarceration, everything that they have gone through. There was a lot of police torture. I have spoken to some victims who have come out. In the beginning, 26 people were given the death sentence, and many of them managed to walk free except 4. So I have spoken to people. It was under Tada, and I know the stories of police torture that took place, how women were tortured, how I have like, we once again, you know, a lot of people who have heard these stories firsthand. It might not be, you know, prime time news on, you know, like important media channels, but those of us who personally heard those stories, we lose our faith in the police itself, because this is not the way in which you get confessions. You don't do third-degree torture, and then you don't give death penalty.
Fair enough. I mean, important points that Meena is raising. Okay, I want to bring you back to the question of politics over mercy. There is no election now, except of course the local body polls in which they'll probably vote on the basis of how you've handled the northeast monsoon. So what is the vested interest now?
See, I don't see any vested interest. The very important question is, more than 130,000 people were annihilated, butchered, killed, civilians were killed. We saw all those evidence came only recently. Why, you may ask, why sudden upsurge only for these 3 people? What about the other, some other thing? See, now only the facts are coming out from Sri Lanka. You are seeing watching the video clippings of how children were killed, innocent people were killed. It has aroused the emotions of Tamil people.
But this happened even then, there were reports coming in then.
Reports come, not as clearly as this. And here the government.
No, it's one thing. It's one thing to talk about. Yes, I mean the 3 convicts. Yes, as Meena rightly put it, a humanitarian issue here. No one is really bloodthirsty, as she said. Even the victims. It will be interesting to see actually to get. In fact, we'll try and get hold of some of the victims to see what they think, whether they also joined in the demand for mercy for the 3 convicts. But then, what about the lakhs of internally displaced Tamils? I'd like to ask both of you. The lakhs of internally displaced Tamils who are living worse than second-class citizens in Sri Lanka. Why is that the same protests are not taking place on the same magnitude or the same scale?
See, here we have got a deadline. Already.
Their deadline is yesterday, sir. Their deadline is yesterday. For how long are they going to live in?
There's a big difference. I think as an Indian citizen, I have every right to blame my government, to fight against my government, to do whatever I can against my government. But when it comes to another state, and my government simply says, no, we can't help this, this is somebody else's internal affair, there's only so much that we can do. But this is something we can stop. That's why, you know, there's this huge furor when fishermen are being killed, because it's my government. See, even Krishna said that Tamil fishermen can't, you know, like, fish in Kachathi. This was, I think, 2 days back in the parliament. So these are things that make us angry, because it's my government. And you give me a passport, you make me your citizen, and then I have this right to question you. But I can't question Mr. Rajapaksa. I can swear at him. I can use all bad words at him. You know, we can do anything, but we are again helpless because our government has to act. And this whole sense of, you know, being lost is because our government failed to act. We were supplying weapons.
Here once again, I support her cause. See,
she said we were supplying, in fact, the radar and all that, we were supplying them.
We were supplying everything. We were mute spectators. The previous government.
Not spectators, we were conniving.
We were conniving this. See, the previous government we had here, whatever, because of few seats they want in the parliament or in the central berth, they were keeping quiet. They were also part of this. They were accomplices to the crime. We supported. The another danger is, if you are going to do this, you are strengthening the hands of Rajapaksa. You are the indisposed Tamil people. They were scattered all around. You are strengthening Rajapaksa. Even the Indian government are not supporting Tamilians. Why should we do it?
Not to speak of his brother Gotabaya, who always speaks out of turn and shoots his mouth off.
We are going to strengthen the hands of Rajapaksa.
One final question to you, Mr. Thanangan. The Tamil Nadu Assembly has passed this resolution now. The Tamil Nadu government has also a respondent in this petition. So is this an irony or a coincidence?
See, there are 2 things. Tamil Nadu government has got a legal duty to do it. In various other cases you can see. I can quote various, this is really out of context. That is a different stage the state government has taken. At the same time, now our neighboring country, Sri Lanka, there are various other things are happening. We have to show our solidarity. The Tamil Nadu government has a moral responsibility. Being part of the Indian constitution, Indian government, we have to put our foot very firmly, because we have got various other potential threats in our neighboring country.
All right. So, Sudankar, in fact, earlier I said, you know, his earlier observation was that, you know, the Chief Minister has been a true statesman-like approach, and also shown prime ministerial qualities in the resolution, not just now, but also in the earlier resolution on sanctions. Is this a classic case where even if there is politicking over the issue, it's welcome?
Yeah, I think the Chief Minister Jayalalitha has to be applauded by everybody, because you know, right when Hillary Clinton was coming, she was raising the issue of Sri Lankan Tamils. When she met Prime Minister Manmohan Singh, she raised the issue of Sri Lankan Tamils. And I know there's this whole team of British MPs who want to come and meet her and just tell her about it and ask for her support. And why is all of this happening? Because people are placing their trust in her, and she is acting to the emotional appeals of people. She is acting the best that she can do, because even though genocide is over in this sense of killing people, the cultural genocide, the political genocide, the various other forms of genocide that are still taking place in Sri Lanka, it's not yet over. So we need state support in this manner. We need support for Tamil people, and she's extending it, and I think all of us are really grateful to her for that.
All right. Thank you very much, Meena and Sudankar, for making those very valid points on our show. Thank you very much. Well, stay tuned to NDTV Hindu, because Evelyn Matthew has got a lot more news coming up right here. Don't touch that remote.
Thanks, Sanjay. Lots more news